Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to, we call it Sleep In Sunday. It really means you have extra time to chant your japa in the morning on Sunday instead of diving right on to our Bhagavatam show. But we are here at the farm today with the big Seva weekend retreat with a lot of people from Wisdom of the Sages. We are just missing Kaustubha here. And we are here on every Sunday. We bring in a person who sort of touches, moves us, and inspires us. And we sort of pick their brains on their path. And we have a very special guest, Gaura Mani Devi Dasi. And besides being a mom of two, wife, she tours the world and she changes thousands of people's lives through her music. She's a motivational speaker and she does spiritual life coaching and she's got millions of followers. It's quite amazing, Gaura Mani ji, what you do in this world. And you know, I really wanted to bring you on the show today because it's just good to see how people are doing their bhakti and people do it in so many different ways. But I watch these videos of you and you just have thousands of people chanting. Anyway, I just want to say welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be a part of your show. Thank you.
What is it like and how, and you know, you're also like a Hare Krishna success story because you grew up a devotee. Your parents were like ISKCON devotees. And so a lot of our community, they're from the yoga community. Some have been practicing bhakti or they're new to bhakti or got to it in a roundabout way. But you actually grew up with parents who were like running a temple in Washington, D.C. A matter of fact, we're just finding out that it was only if like a month after me and Kaustubha had left that temple. So we just missed you. And you were probably a little girl when we were there. And your father ran that temple in Potomac, Maryland. And you caught maybe the tail end or the beginning of Shelter and 108 and those bands. So somehow we have a weird connection like that as well. What was it like growing up you fully grew up in an ashram? Can you tell a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I was born in the Chicago temple, the ashram there. And that was just in the late 70s after our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, had left. And he established schools, ashram schools. They're actually called gurukulas. And so I started my education when I was about nursery, which is when I was about 1.5 years old at the ashram. So I went to Gurukul when I was 1.5 with the very famous Mother Urmila. Oh. So our family moved to Detroit, Michigan, where we started Gurukul there. Then, of course, because my father had pastoral or ministry duties, we moved to the different temples that he was designated to serve. And the next stop was Los Angeles. And I was about 7 years old when I attended the Gurukul in LA. And then he was transferred to Potomac. So being raised in an ashram, our life started at 4 a.m. And I was very young. I was like 4 or 5 years old. Our day started with meditation, with mantra, with chanting, Mangalarti life, because every temple we moved to, that was the program. I don't really remember a time, actually, until I got married. Well, after I got married, my life kind of was more freedom. It was like I was in charge of what I did because my husband's super cool like that, you know. And just being raised in an ashram, in the temple, with mantras, with meditation, studying Bhagavad Gita, the scripture, with academics, it was a seed, a very deep seed that was planted in my life. And when I had my own home, when I got married and I decided to have kids and stuff, it's kind of like if you do something for 21 days, you know, the 21-day challenge, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
So I did it for a little longer than 21 days, maybe like 15, 16, 17, 18 years. When you do something, it becomes a lifestyle.
Sure.
So spiritual life for me became a lifestyle. And then I wanted my family, my children to do as much as they wanted to be a part of. And that's how we grew. And I'm here 25 years later.
We have a name for that kind of background, Raghu, right?
Yeah, we have a name for that. Yeah. We call it an undented can. And we're usually very, very jealous of the undented cans because
we're the dented ones.
we're all dented cans, meaning we didn't grow up in ashrams.
Oh no.
You know, we grew up, you know, with proms, football games, pep rallies, school bullies, fighting, you know, addictions, and we're trying to undent ourselves. And when we hear,
I got plenty of dents.
We don't believe you. We don't believe your dents.
Great.
but I love to hear about it. And matter of fact, as you were talking about, well, at 4 years old, we would go to Mangalartik at 4 a.m. I've been looking around the room of all these, of all our Savites this weekend, and they're all like smiling and sort of like laughing to themselves, like, oh my God, this is so, it's, you know what it is? At the very least, it's so interesting how there's just like, this is an alternative way to raise your kids. And some people will be like, well, raise your kids in an ashram, but you came out great. You came out great.
Yeah, I try. Or I like to think I came out fine.
Well, let me ask you a question, because it seems like for those of us who didn't grow up on a spiritual, with a spiritual background, and we sort of had to like surrender. Okay, I'm finding this spiritual life. I'm finding it means something to me. I've got to let go of A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
I find that people that grew up in the movement of their parents are devotees, they might get the culture, they might get the worship, they might get the ritual, but they still have to go through this, I'm going to surrender to God. Where was your moment where you felt like, this isn't my parents, this is mine? Did you ever have that moment too, or was it just always yours from infancy? Can you explain your surrender?
Absolutely. I mean, I still have those moments if I'm allowed to. No, for sure. There was a time when I was all grown up. I was a mom, and I actually have three. My oldest is 20. Oh gosh, she gets mad if I forget how old she is. 22. She's 22. She's married. And they were little, and you know, everyone goes through struggle. Life isn't always as easy as it looks. And there was a time when I was feeling lonely, depressed, alone, you know, and I kind of felt like I couldn't do what I needed to do at that time in my life. I hit rock bottom, and I wasn't in the temple. I was away from a spiritual place, and it just made me crave my roots. And then I spent a lot of time finding what was my purpose, and luckily, because I had, I guess, the can of a spiritual lifestyle that I grew up with, I would just go back to that and allow those small moments, little bite-sized moments, and you know, just the mantra, chanting, a lot more of meditation, connected chanting, like a more, you know, like a stronger connection. That really helped me. And it wasn't just a little bit of time, it was about 2 or 3 years. And that was the beginning of when I decided, when I felt that change in my life, after praying and crying and trying to get past my suffering, that's when I decided that I was going to travel around the world now, because it actually fixed my problems. And that was in 2008 actually. And that was the beginning of,
the kirtan career, so to speak.
Yes.
Did you move to Vrindavan at that point?
My husband is, I met him. He's not from Vrindavan, but I met him in Vrindavan, and that was in the late 90s. So that's kind of when we both decided we wanted to live in Vrindavan in the late 90s, but we didn't completely commit ourselves. So we moved, I think, here full time 2000, early 2000. So it was after 10 years later, but I didn't live in Vrindavan until this year. I mean, full time, because we're stuck here for lockdown. So
I consider that very auspicious if you get condemned to Vrindavan because of the pandemic. What a blessing. I was just thinking, like, because I was just in Vrindavan in February, I was thinking, why am I so unqualified that I can't get condemned to Vrindavan? Why did I have to go back? If I waited one more month, I felt like Krishna said, we're going to move COVID back 1 month to get rid of Raghunath. And then
so we've been living in Vrindavan actually since 2001, about 2001. And we built our home here in 2003, but we always would go back to America for different reasons. Half of the year in America and half of the year in Vrindavan.
Your husband's Indian also, Param Prabhu.
Yes, that is correct. He's from Punjab, and he served at the. I grew up in America, but he grew up in Punjab.
Raghunath relates well with the Punjabis, I think.
I like the Punjabis.
Yeah.
I like Indians in general. I think I was Indian in my last life.
Sure.
So you know, I have what kind of fascinates me about your service is that you began doing kirtan, and it's reaching like huge numbers of people. You do concerts where there's hundreds of thousands of people. Online, you're reaching well over, you have like, I think well over 1 million people follow you online.
Yeah.
It used to be that if someone wanted to reach people through music, they would have to sign with the record company, and they would just, pick out just a few. And even then, you don't know if it was going to go anywhere. We're living in a different world now, where different, people can rise in unusual ways. And I was just, just reading a bit on you and on your service. And from what I understand, at a certain point, you started doing kirtans at the outside of Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi, which for those that aren't familiar with that, it means that there's a beautiful temple in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram temple, and that temple was established by Srila Prabhupada, and you could call it a tomb, but it's a very beautiful kind of marble temple itself to him that sits in front of the Krishna temple there. And you started doing kirtan on the weekends in front of Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi. Did I get that right?
That is correct. Yep, that's right.
And crowds kind of started to build. Is that sort of?
That's exactly what happened. So because I was used to singing in America as a little girl, on the weekends, the temple, we would all go for Harinam. So we kind of came back to India that year in September, and I thought, this is what I want to do here as well. Why not? Sure. And so then September 2009, and Aindra Prabhu, who is our spiritual guru, he's like my shiksha guru. Yeah. So he wanted us to do this, and because all of the devotees would be singing inside, and then we as the girls, we said, hey, let's do our own little thing. And so we set up outside, and it was his instruction. He gave us that instruction. So,
well, he was, for those that don't know, I can, when I look back at my life, I think if there was the most amazing musician that I've ever seen in my entire life, if I had to pick one, and I've seen famous musicians and not famous musicians, and I've traveled all over India, and it would be Aindra Prabhu, who I choose as just like the most mind-blowing musician that I've ever seen in my life. And it both, in terms of his skill, but especially in terms of the depth of his spirituality and the heart and soul that he put into his kirtan, that he was a person, he was born in America, and he moved to Vrindavan, I guess in the early mid 80s. And he began doing, organizing 24-hour kirtan in that temple there. But he kind of just, he didn't go anywhere, but he just stayed there. But he influenced the whole world in terms of kirtan just from that one spot. And it's fascinating to hear about how you, as a young lady, he was a kind of a very staunch renunciate, you know, but as
Yep.
a young lady, you could be so influenced and this is the way that I would look at it. I would say empowered by.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that the way bhakti works is it goes from person to person, right? It's handed down from one person to another person. And I know, for instance, like Aindra Prabhu, he was very influenced by Vishnu Jan Swami, who was like another amazing kirtan singer, and it gets handed kind of from heart to heart. And so, how old were you when you were really kind of being influenced by Aindra Prabhu and his kirtan? Oh.
So, like I said earlier, I was like 4 years old when we used to sing. And then Aindra Prabhu would take me to all the festivals. I grew up every summer visiting all the different festivals.
Yeah.
And we heard Aindra Prabhu, I was about 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And we knew of him, you know, because we were like the Guru coolies who would catch on to whatever was the latest kirtan that was happening, you know, as young teenagers. And so we got copies of his latest, you know, the latest kirtans
CD.
that were recorded. I think this was before Vrindavan Mellows, and we would listen to it all day and night. And my dad would be like, "Don't listen. That sounds like the guy's completely drunk," because the way he sang, it was very. He's like, "I don't know what he's taking before he sings," and we were like, "Okay," but we'd still listen. And
Super
then
slow, dragged almost. Dum, dum. Yeah.
and then we went to Vrindavan for vacation as in '92, and I remember that was the first time that strongly influenced me for the rest of my life. So I was about 13, 14 that time, and then just decided that it was an addiction listening to him. And then we all wanted to sing what he sang, and then becoming part of his kirtan whenever we were in Vrindavan. That's what you do. You go and sit in every kirtan that he
Every
had,
night,
every
in the
day.
evening, he would do kirtan in that temple, and thousands of people would come. And every night was like you just never knew what was going to manifest, but you knew it was going to be incredible. And
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a life-changing experience.
You know,
So
Gormani.
we started kirtan, outside of Prabhupada Samadhi. And then hundreds and thousands of people that visit, they saw, and then they're like, "We want you in our festival."
Okay.
And we were like, okay. And that's where it snowballed. So it was like, you know, maybe 5 kirtans a month, and then 10, and then 20, and then 50. And then it was like every day of the month. And we were just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how we're going to keep up.
And you
Wow.
just
So
have a
that's
team
how
you travel with?
we do. We have
Your band
about
is called
13, 14.
Vraja
Vraja
Vadus?
Vadus.
Vraja
Yeah, that's right.
Vadus. Yeah.
So Vraja is Vrindavan. Vadu is actually a name for bride or daughter-in-law or gopi. It's another
Right.
name for like a cowherd girl. So Lord Chaitanya, there's a prayer. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vraja Vadhu Vargena Va Kalpita. So we want to follow in the footsteps of the cowherd damsels of Vraja, or the girls, the Gopi girls. So we named our band after the girls of Vrindavan. Yeah,
It's a great
I'm
name.
sure Aindra Prabhu must have liked that name.
I guess. Yes.
You know, Gormani, one thing, when I bring students to India, which is the last time I saw your husband in January, me and Kaustubha had a group. And one thing that people, when they come into that evening kirtan for the first time, one of the first things they feel like, wow, there's a special festival going on. And they don't fully understand, like, this is happening every night. This thing that you're like about to break into tears and throwing up flowers and getting garland, and this is going on every night. And when you sort of take that in, you realize, every night. Well, when do you like watch Netflix then? This is the Netflix. And this is what you're actually bringing to all these people Can you explain how the evening wind down is wrapped into Indian culture and Vedic culture and its importance to get it back into our culture, being mainly from Europe and United States? And yes, does that make sense? That question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it becomes a lifestyle, and it becomes something that you, like you said, Netflix, you have your 3 hours in the evening where it's like 6 p.m. or whatever time you decide to watch. It's your plug in to relaxation, or it's your plug in to zone out and just be glued to something, to feel, there's a feeling. And here, especially in Vrindavan, the culture, I know some people that might be watching Netflix as soon as they wake up until they go to bed, So here it's the same with that transcendental sound, the sound of the name of God, or the sound of mantra. It becomes an addiction that you crave. And if you don't have it, you miss it. And that's why we do it every day, because then we get that deep inner fulfilling. Just like in the shot, the scripture tells us, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, Kalona Sevana Seva, Na Seva Gatir Anyatha. There's no other way. And I'm sure you've heard this prayer. We were raised hearing it every day 50 times, but it really carries value and meaning. That why are they saying there is no other way? Well, I tried a lot of different ways. After I left the ashram, or left the temple, I was married with the family and children, moved out, did my thing, tried different things. But when I hit rock bottom, I just went back chanting, or that kirtan, which is here now in Vrindavan every single day. So I'm addicted to it, and I know that so many of you that have joined us live or on Zoom, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people. Why do we connect again? Because we feel that satisfaction, that peace, and it's a feeling that you can't get from Netflix. Is good for a little while, but once the show's over, you want to watch the next one, and then it just doesn't end, right? So that's my 2 cents.
Can you give us so a lot of us don't get to tour full time with their family doing kirtan. Can you give us some advice for the rest of us? The rest of us who are just we're in the world, we have jobs in the material world, we have families, we're in the material world. How to add more bhakti into our life?
Absolutely.
What would you recommend? For our children, for our families, for ourselves.
There's many things that come to mind. Of course, so many of you know about morning practices. I love the name of this show, which is Sunday, Lazy Sunday. Is that what it was? Is that what you called it?
Sleeping Sunday. That's just, it's a wisdom of the sages, but on Sunday we call it Sleeping Sunday. Because
I like that. So yeah, so Sleeping Sunday, or every day to spend the morning time connecting yourself, charging your daily batteries for wherever you are, even if you're on tour, if you're stuck at home, if you're, in your apartment or wherever you are, that morning time for me is so precious. Give yourself that gift. It's a gift of whatever time you decide, meditation, 5, 10, 15. Our spiritual master says 2 hours. So we do our 16 rounds first thing in the morning. For me, that's so important. And I would like to say not brainwashed, we were brain cleansed to follow this practice. And so we have a formula. Well, there's actually a song I learned in nursery. It's chant your rounds, take prasad, read a verse a day, do this very steadily and Maya will stay away. It's to Christmas jingle.
Everybody is cheering here.
So chant your rounds, or chant japa, chant your rounds, take prasad, eat that sanctified food, read a verse a day. Bhagavad Gita for me it's a real source, at any time. If I read a verse a day, my whole day changes. Do this very steadily and Maya will stay away. So that was the song. So I feel like these three things for me are extremely important. They keep me going, and adding lots of prayer into
Mara, that was
that
similar
practice.
to your school, wasn't it, Mara? Mara went to a very, very cultured school.
Aww.
Yeah,
No, I didn't.
all girls, very strict school. She was one of the leaders of the debating club, girls field hockey. Did they do mantras in your school, Mara?
No, we didn't learn any mantras.
You didn't learn any mantras?
No.
Ah, Mara. Anyway, this is great. And, you know, me and Kaustubha, you know, every Monday we call it Makeover Monday. And me and Kaustubha's Makeover Monday was, we don't look at our phones until, you know,
Wow.
the phones are off until after the morning. And it's been, Kaustubha, I can't see Kaustubha.
I'm back.
Okay, good. It's been incredible, hasn't it? Just not looking at the phone.
It's just, you know, the time is so valuable, and it's so easy to waste it, right?
So easy to waste it.
Yeah, and so if you get a little strict, then you make such good use of the time.
Well, I hit my rock bottom a couple weeks ago because I've been waking up at 3:30, and then I would check a message, and that message would lead me to another message, which led me to a post, which led me to whatever's happening politically. And it was like I wasted that 3:30 in the morning. Like, why was I waking up at 3:30 in the morning to just be on my dumb phone? So now it's just like it's off, and I feel so liberated. And you actually quoted, I'm bringing this up because you actually quoted it, Gaura Maniji. You quoted what our thing was this week was keep the morning sacred. That was our motto this week.
Nice.
How do your kids deal with all the traveling and stuff like that? Are they into it? Are they part of it? I think moms.
Are they in the band?
Yes, they are. My son, he is our mridanga player, the drummer. And my younger daughter.
That's what I was gonna say. This is the Partridge Family here.
This is the Krishna conscious Partridge Family. You don't even know what the Partridge Family is, do you?
I don't. I have no idea.
Oh, good.
Undented can.
America, you are so sheltered and protected by your parents. You have no idea what the Partridge Family is. I'm so proud of you
can
for
tell.
not knowing.
I have no idea. Well, because I went to Gurukul until I was 17, and that was in North Carolina, sheltered, very sheltered. If you go to the village that I was raised in, Hillsboro, my kids, I took them this last summer. They were like, there's only one gas station in the whole Hillsboro. How did you grow up here? I was like, well, that's what made everything work.
It's amazing.
So my children travel with us, and I mean, it gets exhausting. March was probably one of the busiest months. We had Kirtan Mela in Mayapur, and then we had a Ratha Yatra in Bangalore, and we were jumping from one state. Our flights were all over the place. And then I do positive thinking by telling them that the best gift you can give yourself is to travel the world, and then we're all happy.
Wait, you did this during the pandemic or pre-pandemic?
Before.
Okay.
So we actually, luckily we got home the week before. So the last week of March, we reached home, and everything ended. So that was good. We haven't been out for a few months. We had a program in Australia and Dubai, and we canceled, trying to stay safe and share online at this point.
Well,
but my son, Kana, he's highly inspired by, again, Aindra Das Prabhu. And so he is a part of the 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan.
Wow.
As we speak. He's decided that while the pandemic is holding us all home, he's taking shelter over there. So that's my son, Kana. Yeah.
I want to be your son. This.
All right.
Be in the band.
I want to be in the band.
Anytime.
Let me in the band. I can't. It's been 30 plus years. I still can't play the cartel as well, but I'll do something. I'll be your roadie.
Give me the hype guy.
No, you're our guitarist. I know you can play that. I know you can play. I know you can play heavy metal. I don't know if that's what they still call it, but.
That was so nice that you said that right now. Wasn't quite.
I don't know too much about it.
But
Yeah,
I have a
It
question,
wasn't.
Gorman.
Yes.
And so now sometimes you go to these big festivals. It's like you're in demand. You go, and sometimes there's like hundreds of thousands of people at these festivals, and you do kirtan, right? And
Yeah.
and so I'm wondering, what does it
Yeah.
feel like to be on that stage with like so many people chanting? How do you feel like in terms of your relationship to the mantra or to Krishna, and
Yeah.
and just as a person, what is it, what does it feel like to do that?
So the largest crowd that we have every year is about 1.2 million people that we're
Wow.
on a moving stage. And this is in the streets of Punjab. So it is the biggest festival after Jagannath Puri Ratha Yatra, and that's called Ludhiana Ratha Yatra.
Ludhiana.
And my husband would tell me about it, for years, and I never really believed him. You always think that they say it's a little more than it actually is until we were there. And there are miles of people. The biggest thing I've ever seen. And here Ratha Yatra isn't an hour and a half. It's 8 to 9, 10, 11 hours. And that means you're singing for 10 or 11 hours with 900,000 people or 1 million people.
Wow.
What?
And they have one of those every month in India, and I'm
I'm trying to figure out when Indians go to work. Every other day's a festival.
They don't. I don't think they do. Because our suitcases never get unpacked. But it's just like, when you see someone, I've had testimonials of people who've been really through it, and it's like culture shock when you get here, and it's culture shock when you leave, because India is the land of people and culture. And when you see them so happy from chanting, because the chanting brings happiness, it's a fact. You can accept it, or you can just say, I don't know what you're saying, but try it is what I'd say. Try it and then let me know what you feel. But when you're on a stage with, hundreds of thousands of people around you, and in America, I didn't grow up with a lot of people around me. Remember I said Hillsborough? It was a little town.
Right.
So in India, when you see all these people and they're just cheering, it's like a crazy concert, but they're all chanting, which is it's a superior high, I'd like to say. It gives you more energy, and you forget what's happening around you, and you pick up on that energy, and it's just like a snowball effect. And the energy takes you from this material realm, I'd like to say, to a very high platform, pretty much back to the source. And that's where the mantra comes from. And you can feel that, and you can go deeper. You can penetrate through different layers of feeling or bhav or bliss. And I've experienced that, and you can then imagine and feel the presence directly of the Lord in that kirtan. And that's the essence, I feel, of kirtan, is when Krishna, he appears with Srimati Radharani, and when you can imagine that your service is to unite the divine couple. And for me, if I can meditate in that way, pray for that mercy. It's all about accessing mercy. Without the mercy, we don't feel that love, that bhav.
So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is, Hare referring to Radha and Krishna referring to Krishna. So when you chant that, you're meditating on uniting Radha and Krishna.
Yes.
And when you do that,
Mind blowing.
and when you do that with hundreds of thousands of people, you go even deeper into that meditation.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you that the touring, it's not always the easiest thing in the world, especially in India. It's a huge austerity. Traveling here, the road situation is quite difficult. The climate is so extreme here. Not everything is perfect for me. It's an austerity many times. So when you get ready to perform and there's all these people, you've got to know your stuff, but you've also really got to get that mercy. And I was praying for strength many times, you know, like right before you do a show, you need that energy. And I prayed for the mercy and everything, but sometimes it doesn't work as well. And then I changed my mindset and I said, I'm not just going to be selfish here and just try to satisfy what I need. I want to try to serve somehow. And the ultimate service, of course, is bringing them together. And that's how I felt. When you bring that union of the Lord, Krishna and Radharani, that was my mood.
Now, if you've never seen Gauramani, you could just YouTube search Gauramani Devi or Gauramani Kirtan. She is you're an incredible, you know, it's a spiritual entertainment. Like, you are bigger than life.
Thank you.
And you really draw everybody in. And I'm always, that's my aspiration. I'm not good at many things. I'm not being humble. You ask my wife, I can't screw in one of those long light bulbs. I can't, but I like to be around a lot of people. You are one of these people that, like, when you get surrounded by many, you step up to bigger than life. And it's very engaging. And I'm really inspired by watching your videos. And I remember when I met you last, I never met you in person that I remember, but I was leading a kirtan on the banks of the Ganges with all my students. And it was a very beautiful night in Haridwar. And, you know, you get so many people, the Indians love kirtan. And they do. Like you said, it's not weird for them to be in a kirtan for 8 hours. It's completely normal. For an American, we can't sit still for 10 minutes. You know, we're like, all right, I got to get out of here. But we're on the banks of the Ganges, and you're just like a bigger than life person. And you walked in there with a camera and you were videotaping. And I was like, who is this? You know, very dynamic looking woman coming around videotaping, and you're Indian. So I just thought you were one of the Indian pilgrims. And then it stopped and you were like, we're live with a total American accent that you have, because growing up, you're like, we're here live with Raghunath on Facebook Live. And I was like, who is this Indian woman that knows me? And then I was like, oh, this is Gauramani. I watched your YouTube videos. And you were just coming back from Badrinath, I think, or Kedarnath.
Yeah.
Himalayas, with your family.
You have such a good memory. I'm so surprised. I barely remember all that.
I'm easy to forget, but you are hard to forget. And we were going north, and you were coming out of the Himalayas with your family, and you put me aside and you said, you must take your group. Where you came from, Badrinath that day?
Yeah, we went to Badrinath. That's right.
And
we were just coming down
into taking a group to Badrinath. And so I took that as a sign from Krishna, and we organized a group for Badrinath, but we got rained out. And so we ended up just staying in Rishikesh and Haridwar and Vrindavan. But it was a wonderful trip. But that was the year that there was so much flooding after the rainy season that buses were literally getting taken down. It was scary, but you were an inspiration there. And what you do live, it's really impressive. And the world needs people engaging everybody into singing like that. Can I ask you a question on a side note? Because how do your kids deal? How do you school your kids? You got children. Where do they go to school? Do you homeschool them on the road?
So my kids, yes, I homeschool them. So my son is actually enrolling online. So we do online, we do homeschool. And then when I come to America, we have a home there. So they go to school when we're in America for the last semester, usually, of the school year. So it's all working with American schooling, because that's what I did. So I wanted them to do the same thing. So my daughter, she has a degree in, she actually chose religion and ETR. She has an honors bachelor's degree in education, theology, and religion. That's my oldest. My son is just getting ready to go to college, and then my little one is in, we're doing middle school, but we're going to start high school soon. So yeah, it's
The total Partridge Family.
It is the transcendental Partridge Family.
It's the Peacock Family.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So they love it just because it's a lifestyle, like I said earlier. I mean, we have our moments, but my son he's in the temple, so he's moved into the temple for the since this lockdown, because he wants to be part of kirtan every day. He can't handle being stuck at home. And ISKCON Vrindavan is following a very strict lockdown, so he's safe there now. But they have Ishtagostis in the temple, and that's something we've never done as a family. So we're going to start that. I think that's going to help. Just a family meeting. Meet up with your kids, connect with them, spend time, have fun. And if you're not having fun, whether you're in bhakti or not in bhakti, it's not. Like my Guru Dev is Bir Krishna Goswami from Hillsborough, North Carolina. And he says, because when I'd go to him for a struggle, when I'm like, I can't, my kids don't listen to me, what do? He goes, you know what? You need to have fun in life, whether it's spiritual life or material life. If you want to be a good mom or dad, you got to tell them that life's fun. And then they want to do what you want to do, be a part of that. And then my dad also, he was very encouraging, motivating, uplifting. I like to do that with my kids. Just tell them that I love them, tell them that they're good kids, and then keep going, on whatever path you're on.
Wow.
Well, you're doing a good job. we're all sitting here very impressed.
We're all trying.
It seems like Punjab, Gujarat, these people are like natural devotees wherever you go.
Those Punjabis are into kirtan.
They love kirtan, and they celebrate life with this kirtan. So anything that needs to be celebrated, we do with kirtan. Say it's a festival, somebody's birthday, a wedding, an anniversary, a prayer. We sing and we pray together and we celebrate, and they celebrate really big here.
Yeah.
So that's
they like to dance. Everybody's got dance moves, right?
that's correct.
That's something
it's a big dance party.
That's where all that Bhangra comes from, is Punjab, right?
Yes, that's right. And they're very religious as well. They're very religious, and they're really into their beliefs, because it's amazing to see they can build a gurudwara overnight if they're very united. So when it comes to kirtan, they take it very seriously.
Yeah, and
I
prasadam too. They know how to pump out prasadam in big amounts.
It's all about the prasadam, I think. First, they'll feed you until you can't stop.
What a beautiful culture!
Yep.
Right? That's why I think that's why Raghunath relates to it so much. It's like it fits his personality somehow. When you get Raghu in that kind of atmosphere, like good prasad, good kirtan, right?
I've had the good fortune, even when I was a brand new devotee once, I was helping in Delhi at the Ratha Yatra decorate the cart. And the next thing you know, thousands of people were surrounding that cart. And I didn't realize it, but the cart started moving, and I was on the Delhi Ratha Yatra cart, and I was in charge of throwing out the Mahaprasad. And I only went to Ratha Yatras in New York City, which last an hour, a couple hours. This went on for like 9 hours on that cart. And it never ended. And people, when they saw the cart and the deity, they lost their mind. It was just like, in America, when that Ratha Yatra cart's coming down Fifth Avenue, everyone's like, very interesting, a cultural experience, and they're like, okay, these people are dancing. In India, it is like God is coming to town, and you are so excited. Yep. People are throwing bananas and money and coins and bowing down and crying. Women are crying their eyes out. It's unbelievable. Yep. And it never ends.
Yeah, because God is coming out and they want to see him. Actually, Jagannath he is very special for three aspects. So Jagannath is the one, the D that we put on the cart. And he has three very special things. And the first one is that he has really big eyes. He never closes his eyes because he doesn't want to miss if a devotee, if a loved one goes by, and if he closes those eyes, he'll miss that person. The second thing is he's the only form of God or the Lord that leaves his temple and he comes out to see, just like a doctor. If you're sick, you go see the doctor. But when you're too sick, the doctor comes to your house to see you. So Jagannath, he comes out, and that's what they believe here. And the third one is the Mahaprasadam. So when he comes in India, when Jagannath comes, it's a huge festival. The whole city's closed. This Ratha Yatra we do in Ludhiana, they set up 100 or 1,000 banquet halls on the road. It's like the Rose Parade in Pasadena, in California. And
It's similar to the Rose Parade, except with God.
Yeah. And they set up station every 10 feet. So it's a competition. Which business person, which businessman can have a more beautiful, more affluent welcoming committee for the deities and the devotees?
Wow.
So that's the festival here.
That's a beautiful type of competition.
You know, Kaustubha, you and I have been like discussing seriously with our life coaching of Mara and Mara's next move in her career, because Mara's a very established chef caterer here. I think we should send her to Punjab at one of these banquet halls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Learns to make some rajma and batur roti.
Yeah, she can learn some of the local dancing, perhaps.
Yes, rajma chawal, chole bhature, and those are favorites.
Oh yeah, they know how to eat. It's a hearty fare there.
When you come to Vrindavan, I will cook for you.
Okay,
I'll cook for you.
Get ready. We're coming.
All right.
We're gonna be banging on your window. What's your best festival? What's your best festival in Vrindavan or in India in general? What should we think about? Like pray for? Hey, please let me go to this festival.
Ludhiana Ratha Yatra for sure. I mean, if you have the energy, that's in late November though. I don't know what your dates are. December. It's usually the last week of November.
Raghunath is thinking, is there a way that I could get on that cart with you guys?
Oh, absolutely.
What's it called again? Ludhiana?
Ludhiana.
It's L.
With an L.
That's a place?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ludhiana in Punjab.
Yes, Ludhiana Ratha Yatra. And also, I would recommend going to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. It's such an amazing experience. You may have gone.
Maybe we could do a Wisdom of the Sages tour. We go to Kurukshetra. Go to Ludhiana Ratha Yatra.
That's where it begins. Yeah, that's where it begins.
Yeah, and then go to Vrindavan, something like that.
Great idea.
What's Kurukshetra like now?
It's beautiful. There's a new temple that they've just built, and then there's Brahma Sarovar, which is a pond. It is the sacred lake. And so you go there for a dip or a darshan, and then you see the tree where Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita.
So this is, if you don't know, if you're new to the show, Kurukshetra is where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and the big battle was the sacred battle. It was actually always a sacred place, and then it was a place, the Dharma Kshetra, but it became a place where this war was fought. I want to go with a metal detector.
Go with what?
A metal detector. Find Bhishma's helmet or something. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever thought of it that way before.
Think about it. Swords that you'd find, elephant decorations.
I think that's a great idea because that Haryana is where Kurukshetra is, right? The state of Haryana.
Right.
And the people there, they're into kirtan. Those people too, right? That whole northern India, it's got a certain flavor. That's kind of like really into kirtan. They have that hearty fare of food, of prasadam, and then this Ratha Yatra sounds like a huge event. And then we go to Vrindavan.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it's not too far away.
Yeah,
It's
all
like a
kinda
10
close.
hour, 8 hour, yeah, it's all nearby. And Haryana, Punjab, it's all the land of fighters. So you get
Yeah.
that very, they're like our Italians. They're like the Italians of India.
All right. You can relate to that. Wait a second. All
So
the Italians are fighters?
no, they're very fun loving. They love
Yeah,
to
they
have fun in life.
into
They
the
love
food
food.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Raghunath and I are both Italian, so we'll just
Yeah.
slip right in there.
Yeah. We love
Great.
food, we love
That's
fighting, all
perfect.
that stuff. So you are a Braja Badhu right now. You're a Braj Basi. You're living in Vrindavan.
Yes.
Can you share, as we wind up the show, can you share something wonderful about Vrindavan, some of your favorite places, or something to give us a taste of Vrindavan, an eagerness?
So Vrindavan is such a nice place. There's actually a song. It's another nursery rhyme.
I love these American Hare Krishna nursery rhymes. For
What is it? Blue sky, white clouds, Krishna and
White
Balaram?
clouds, Krishna. So that's one of the nice
oh,
ones.
sing it,
There's
please.
this, Vrindavan is such a nice place. Where Krishna goes, there's never a trace of doubt or fear. It's springtime all year. La 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 la. I can't remember the rest of the song. But it's just that Vrindavan is such a nice place because this is where Krishna was born. And blue skies, white clouds, Krishna and Balaram are following the cows over on Govardhan where the cows play. The coward boys all play with Krishna and Balaram all through the day.
Kaustubha, I want a do-over of my childhood.
That's what I was gonna say. Raghunath wants to be your son even more now.
Teach me that song.
Sing the song again.
The soundtrack that's running in my mind from childhood, you don't even want to know.
So Vrindavan is that place where the supreme personality of Godhead, where Krishna was born. And he could have gone anywhere. He could have been born anywhere, but he chose this place. And the special thing, even though it's been 5,000 years since he appeared, is that he still is here as I am here. You feel his presence. And just like in America, we say good morning and hello, how are you? Here, everybody says Radhe Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. So whether it's the milkman or whether it's the rickshawala or whether it's, you know, the chowkidar, the security guard of your house, it's all Radhe Radhe Bhaiya, doodh le lo, or it's Radhe Radhe Bhaiya, aage chalo. So there's this mood of, it's actually kind of like, I would like to say it's separation. It's a feeling because he was here for a little bit and then he left. So that feeling and never left. And we're kind of just calling him to come back even though he's here. It's just this beautiful love. Sometimes he's here, sometimes we're separated from him. And Vrindavan carries that fragrance because we have 5,000 temples here. So that mantra chanting never ends. And you feel that in the air. You hear the bells ringing even in the lockdown. Coronavirus is, nobody's on the streets right now. But you still hear the bells, you hear the conch shells.
Wow.
I am so grateful to be here, even though we were usually in America this time. So, you know, Vrindavan is that place to be.
I read a quote this morning, actually. It's from, I don't even know who this is. His name is George Eliot. But he said, only in the agony of parting do we look into the depths of love. And that feeling of, oh, Krishna left. But all of Vrindavan is like is exploring those depths of that divine love through that.
You read George Eliot this morning?
This was this was Indra Swami wrote a very beautiful shared his thoughts about Bhakti True Swami passing away. He shared that quote on Facebook. You can find it. Yeah. Wow. Well, hey, we need to tell everybody where they can connect with Gauramani.
Yeah.
So that's on Facebook. Is it Gauramani? Let's spell that for everyone. Gauramani. I'm sorry,
It's
Gauri.
It's Gaura, Gaura Mani, Mani Devi, Gaura Mani Devi. So it's facebook.com/Gaura Mani Devi. Actually, I think that's my Instagram handle. But you could just type in Gaura Mani Devi and you'll find me on Facebook.
Okay. And you share so much there. Now we're talking about
Yeah.
bringing you back during the week for our Patreon subscribers and sharing something special. So we're going to figure out what that'll be.
Nice.
But we're looking for.
Yeah, let me know. I would be happy. Whatever everybody wants to know. That's why I would love to share. Or, you know,
Okay.
when you can add what somebody wants to know about, that would
You're
be
an
super cool.
empowered educator and leader and teacher and mom and wife. We're very inspired by all that you do and how you do your bhakti. Thank you for joining us. Super grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank everybody else who is up. This is our closing song. You like that
We
segment?
end with some kirtan.
This is how we end the show every day. We end it playing the Mayapuri's Jai Shri Krishna. And everybody on the show starts to put up their hands and take a namaste and start to make their namaste go like this. Gaura Mani Ji, we are so honored to have you here. Thank you, Kaustubha and Mara, for encouraging me and giving me your association on a regular basis. Thanks to all our Savites at Super Soul Farm. They're losing their material minds right now. Look at Vegan Trucker. He's gone. He's out of here. Krishna. Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe.
Radhe.
Thanks for everybody for joining us. Thank
you.
I think Vishwambar's wife had a baby yesterday. So all blessings.
Yes.
All blessings to Vrinda, the new
That's
baby.
his name, Baby Cole.
What's that?
Baby Cole is the name of the baby.
Here,
Baby
Ghana.
Cole. Oh, sure. And thanks everybody I didn't say good morning to on Zoom. Thanks for joining us early in the morning. Don Kaylee Prabhu, and thanks for all your service, Don Kaylee, you came over. And all the people that are joining us that I didn't. Oh, Param is here. Jai Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe. Wisdom of the Sages is a community-supported podcast. If you like what we do, if you like what you get out of it, go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. We're trying to do this every day so we can have hearing, chanting, transcendental information on a regular basis. Thanks to everybody who supports us. If you sign up for Patreon, we're creating a whole community, a Bhakti recovery group. We have
They'll be meeting 10 minutes after today, right?
Yeah,
10 minutes after now.
Recovery group immediately after here. And then we have asana classes live every week. We have a whole archive of workshops. Thank you for all the support. This is definitely affecting my life, and I'm praying it's affecting yours. Jason, look who's here. More and more great people. It's going to be a glorious day.